I always lived across the road from the beach as a grommet or as a kid, and just wanted to become a better surfer and got right into my surfboards and had a few shapers that lived around us. And as a young fellow, I used to do a lot of repairs for my mates to make a bit of extra money on the side. And you can just never learn enough. It's one of those things you just keep learning, and I was just so interested in it. And as much as everyone talked me away from it and saying there's no money in it, I just couldn't help follow my passion. I shaped my first surfboard probably 20 years ago, but as a job and feeding the family and everything like that, probably the last 10 years, shaping full on. I've got an offsider, Brendan Leckie, who was a team rider of mine, and he wanted to learn something else besides just doing surfing contests in case so he had a backup plan if he didn't make money out of surfing. So it's mainly us two here, and I try to cap this factory at 10 boards a week. There's a guy called Gunther Ron. That's the guy that he owned Local Motion surfboards, and that's the guy that first got me into it. Because it is a hard industry to get into, and he sort of showed me the basics and the ropes, and I learnt from there. And I've always liked how he can make boards from the tiniest little grommet to a real big, heavy old guy. And other older shapers like Rod Dahlberg, and then there's modern guys like Matt Biolis from Lost Surfboards in America. He's influenced me a lot. And then back until guys like around the corner where I live, there's a guy called Joe Larkin. He was the first one to bring surfboards into Queensland and the Gold Coast. I love going around his house and having a look at his old timber toothpicks and stuff like that. So got a sort of wide range of influences from the modern day shaper till back in what you'd call in the surfboard industry early times. It can go either way. I've worked for other companies where I was a ghost shaper, and so their boards would come in out of the machine and we'd have to shape them, and then the guys whose stick was on the board, he'd sign it like he shaped it. So to me that was just more work. It might as well be working in a sausage factory or something. Custom orders, it becomes more like a craft, like an art, and especially once we start fiberglassing with tints and pigments and different colours, it definitely becomes an art then. If someone came in and the average Joe Blow and they were just learning to surf and they wanted a board, I like to sit them down and first try to get their honesty out of them and see what level they're at, and then we'll have a look at different models we got, and I'd weigh them and see how heavy they are and how tall they are, and just sort of make a board to suit, make sure there's enough volume. And there's so many variables with surfboards, that's what sort of really intrigued me with it all. I like to have that relationship with my customers. I like to be able to sit down and talk to them about their board and give them a service in that way. So instead of just pumping out 100 boards a day like a sausage factory and getting so many other people to working on them, and I'm not actually working on myself, I like to have that personal relationship and get that longevity out of my customer. Hopefully they come back and they order again. And I find a lot of big name shapers these days aren't doing that. That's why I've set up my own little factory and somewhere at the front where we can sit down and talk about their surfboard and what they're going to get. And so I won't do as many numbers, but I try to keep the quality. I got in there and learnt how to fiberglass, sand and everything like that. So I like to do a bit of hands-on and do that stuff too, like keep creative. Putting pigments and tints into the resin and making different colours that way like they used to do in the 60s and 70s. Not many shapers are doing that these days, so we sort of try to do a bit of that stuff too. Basically just giving the customer exactly what they want. A lot of beginners and your novice surfer will get a board fiberglass in like a heavier fiberglass so it lasts a lot longer. And on the other side of the spectrum, like a high performance surfer will want something really light and really sort of dynamic and really a real sensitive board. Someone that surfs every day and wants that high performance surfing will, they have a much lighter board. And then you shape the foam to specific dimensions, like the widths, the lengths, the foil, the rocker and all that. And then after that, we spray them white, and then we fiberglass them, then we sand them, and if they want a design, a custom design, we put the design on. Then they get another coat of what they call clear lacquer, and then they're wet rubbed and shipped out. But from a board to start to finish, it takes a couple of days, but most people wait 3 weeks or something like that to fit it all in, the whole process. One of my most popular models at the moment is it's called a Chipper Wilson model. It's based off what one of my main team riders rides, Chipper Wilson. He's been getting a lot of exposure around Europe and Japan and America more so than in Australia. And he's getting so many clips on the internet and YouTube and stuff, so a lot of people ring up and say, I want what Chipper's riding, this Chipper Wilson model. And it's just basically a smaller board with a wider nose and wider tail very user-friendly and very good in small waves. So that's a popular model at the moment, being summer and all with small waves. And just, yeah, the general public's wanting smaller, wider boards, like a fish-style board. So they're definitely the two most popular models at the moment. So I tend to just go on what people are ordering and I try them out a lot and see what they like about them and see if there's any changes I can make. So I just go with the flow of what general people are ordering. But I also try to go to Indonesia a couple of times a year and try out my bigger boards in good waves, and I go to America once a year and try my sort of sloppy grovel boards, so to speak. I find it's just repeating itself, little differences, but a lot of the boards we're doing now, I know some shapers, and they didn't get recognised for, were doing 15 years ago, as far as going smaller and wider and that more sort of summer style board. But I think the biggest difference in the future is going to be with materials. We can't continue just using polyester resin and fiberglass forever. At the moment, that's the most usable thing. You still get flex out of your surfboard and everything with those materials. But I definitely can see a change in materials in the future. I hope I'm at the forefront when it happens, but as far as surfboard shaping and that, a lot of people are just following each other, so to speak. But yeah, definitely materials will be the future.